Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
So
Okay.
this is a hand played at 5-10 at Hustler from a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
It's actually versus the villain's a very aggressive, I guess I'd describe as whale. I think I sent you a hand that I played against them earlier. This is before that hand. So we have a tight player open under the gun to 35. Whale calls next to act. Two other weakish regulars call, and then we go 245 from the small blind with two queens.
How deep are you
just the whale
guys?
call. 4K deep.
And just the whale calls, who's the initial just flat caller, UTG1?
Yeah, UTG1.
All right, so UTG1, whale calls. Okay.
Okay, and so we get 6-4-3 rainbow flop.
643 rainbow. So let me ask you this question, Pete, because obviously you come from an online background, you're into some of the smaller sizing things, but you're new to live poker, right? I mean, this is the most live poker you've played probably in your life, right, over the last few months. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So how do you approach a situation where against a better player you would size small, but against a whale, how do you approach that situation? Do you tend to size up more against whales and just try to go for pure value?
Yeah, I just size up usually.
Okay.
Sometimes there are certain spots where I'll exploitively bet small or some bluffs because I just think there are a lot of hands that will fold to any bet and I can get away with betting small. But yeah, I usually just size up for value.
So usually in somewhat of an unbalanced way that will get you the most EV against fun recreational whale players, usually if you're sizing up, it's going to be value, and if you're sizing small, it might be medium strength value, but more bluffs than when you're sizing up, I'm assuming. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about sizing, balancing
Right.
sizing stuff versus those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my first question on this flop is against a player who is the biggest leak I think this whale has had so far is just bluffing a ton and being very aggro. Would you ever check this flop to this player?
Sure. I like it. I mean, absolutely. If you think that there's, I mean, there is a particular player at Hustler. She used to, it's a girl. She used to play at Commerce, and I think she plays at Hustler now. And that particular person I'm thinking about fits right into that category. I don't know if whatever. We don't have to talk about who it was, if it's the same person, but that just popped in my head against that, and you probably know who I'm talking about. That particular.
I think I know.
Yeah.
This is not that person.
Yeah, but against that particular player, I take lines. I used to take lines like that at Commerce all the time against that player. So.
Yeah. So anyway, I did just have to check.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the villain checked back pretty quickly.
So hero checks, check back, and again, this is not something that This is not something that you would do standard. It's just playing the player. Basically, you're adjusting to play the player's weaknesses.
Yeah. And it's also I don't love that. I mean, I'm not going to fold queens probably this hand, but I don't love the idea of I don't think there are a ton of rounds where I can. There are a lot of bad runouts and 4K deep. If this goes bet and I get raised, I don't really think I can fold queens versus this player.
But you don't like it though.
Yeah, just I don't love getting in 4K with just one pair, obviously. But,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, it goes check. Turns a pretty good card. Turns a 3.
Offsuit 3. So the board's just rainbow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at this point, I think we have to bet. Right?
Sure. Absolutely.
So I bet around pot. I think I bet 450.
See, I think it's interesting that you bet pot because I think that I might go for smaller sizing and try to get the guy to call with ace highs, unless you think that he would have just always started firing with ace highs. But it depends on the type of guy it is and what hands they choose to bluff with. But if guys are checking back ace jack, ace 10, and you bet turn, you can sometimes induce them to call with ace highs. 450 is pretty big. And what are you trying to accomplish here?
Well, I guess one thing I kind of forgot to mention is I sort of had a feeling that this player had some sort of pocket pair.
Okay.
Because one thing one thing they did before the flop is that like I'm not super into like live tells, but they asked me how much I had, which they hadn't done before.
Okay.
Um, and so it's kind of felt like showdown value and like maybe a pocket pair.
You think that they were
Um,
looking at like their implieds possibly?
yeah, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I just kind of wanted to maximize against that. I guess I could have maybe gone a little bit smaller, but yeah, I mostly just wanted to get value.
Okay. So,
And
so you bet
we get
450.
they call.
So he calls.
Yeah,
Okay.
and river's a queen.
So you
So
back into
still
the
betting here.
nuts. So you back into
Yeah,
the nuts here. The pot is about 1500-ish, something like that. Maybe a little bit more,
yeah,
right? You back
yeah.
into the nuts, and I'm assuming what you're trying to figure out what sizing should be here.
Yeah, like what do you think? What do you think about here in terms of sizing?
And also, too, I think the other interesting thing about this is really good background that you've given for this hand. Really important. I mean, some really useful information done in a concise way, I will say, to some callers. um, because you said that you thought that he was going to start bluffing on the flop. If sometimes if you had nothing, he feels pocket pair heavy. So, playing this as a check is pretty bad. I also think that you probably should just go with your line here so if the pot's 1550 here and he feels like he's pocket pair wide, I mean, I guess you could go maybe one of two different ways, two different thinking, Pete, and you can tell me what the background is with this guy. For me, if I don't have a lot of history with a guy like this and I'm in a spot like this where I think he has a pair, so I'm going to size down. I'll probably bet the same amount that I would on the river, 450 to 500. If you think that he thinks you're some aggro kid that's trying to move him off of a hand and he wants to call down, you can sort of make a polarizing bet here too, but that doesn't seem to be the MO of this guy from what you said.
Yeah, I mean, I usually lean toward just going wider with like bigger with value in general, because I don't know if it's because of like I'm young, but people just seem to call me pretty light.
Hmm.
Um, so I ended up betting 900 with the 1K chip.
Okay. So you sort of bet in between,
Um,
but that's still a very big bet, obviously, in live poker. I mean, I would tend to go a little bit, maybe 5 to 600, just because I feel like the guy is relatively weak. But I see what you're thinking is. So you bet 900.
yeah, and Villain kind of very quickly said, I think you probably had me beat, and kind of moaned about it for another 20 seconds, but called, and I was good, obviously.
And you never saw what he had.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting that you chose that sizing where I said I would either go like 5 to 600 or like maybe 12 to 1500. Did you think about going larger than that though, for those reasons?
I thought about it. I thought that I thought there was a chance that like going over 1,000 might like get a pocket pair let go. Like I'm not. I guess
Right.
I really just thought this player was just a really big whale and just kind of wouldn't fold a pocket pair on this line,
Hmm.
but like might consider folding for like over 1,000.
What would
I
you have?
wouldn't think about it in a polarized way, but yeah.
Just really quick? What would you have done with a river ace or a river king?
Um, I might have done what you suggested, but like 500.
Well, I think on the river king, it's definitely a bet, right? But you're still going to bet on an
Yeah.
ace too.
Ace is tough. Maybe I can check there and try to induce a bluff, or like I definitely can't fold.
Well, an ace is interesting because I've actually seen this play by Bryce Yockey with queens a couple years ago on Live at the Bike. You can look at that a number of different ways too, where if you think if you think the guy's going to call you down because you're a crazy kid, you can actually make large bet here with queens and get called by worse because they think you're repping an ace. Most people will just be scared of the ace though. So again, it's a very player dependent type of situation. I just think that
Yeah,
we still have the best hand on both cards for the most part. So it's interesting the sizing on
yeah,
a king or an ace from what you had said.
yeah. I hadn't played with this player quite enough to know that deep of their thought process, but yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
All right, Pete, thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.